Okay, so I told you we take a lot of heat. So Kimberly, is Taylor Swift a witch?
No. Why is she a witch? Why do people even think that she's a witch? I think this is so ridiculous. Welcome to the Good News
Kimberly,
Showcast. I'm your host, Kimberly Dowdell. Join us as we shine a spotlight on the positive stories from around the world and within the special needs community. I'm here with my Instagram husband, Devin, and today for episode 4, we are talking about one of our most beloved and favorite subjects,
and controversial sometimes.
Taylor Swift. As many of you know, Jack, and our family, we're huge Taylor Swift fans. So we thought it's only appropriate to share our admiration for her.
Talk about the new album, talk about all things Taylor Swift. But let's start out on how we became Swifties.
Okay, so why don't you lead that off? I feel like so many people probably wouldn't even know this, but Devin's actually the one who was the first Swiftie in the family, and he is the one that introduced the rest of us to Taylor Swift.
Yes, very unlikely, but true. Well, let's start. We got to go a little bit farther back because when I was growing up, my mom made me play the piano, and everybody I knew played the piano, including my now wife. When I met her, she was a piano player.
Mm-hmm. That's right.
And I realized in high school that the coolest thing to have was a guitar. And I said, I want my kids to learn the guitar. Now, Kimberly is extremely talented. Some people don't know that she can sing and play the piano. And she even tried out for American Idol with her sister.
Yes, all of this is true.
Yes. And so she's highly talented. And I love music. I love to listen to music. But beyond that, I have no talent. I have no... Can I keep a beat?
No, you have a hard time keeping a beat. You have a hard time singing on key. But it doesn't stop you. You still like to dance and you still like to sing.
Yes. And that's kind of how we met, dancing. But it was probably obvious that I didn't understand the beat when we were dancing. But you didn't tell me.
You fooled me pretty well back then. I didn't realize it.
So I had this picture in my mind. I'm like, my kids are going to learn the the guitar. Because if you go to camp out with friends or you're just hanging out with friends, you can bring the guitar out, and you just can't do that with a piano. And most people I knew when they got older, they didn't play the piano too often because it's either you have to have a house with a piano or like a church. It's not like something you just bring along to the Memorial Day campfire. Mm-hmm. So I convinced you that our kids were going to learn the guitar. And so we also had a daughter in 2002, and her name was Taylor. We named her Taylor. And then shortly afterwards, I learned of a Taylor Swift who played the guitar, sang her songs, and she liked country, and we loved country, and we loved music. And so I said, this is so exciting. We've got a daughter named Taylor, and there's this Taylor Swift, and that's kind of what we wanted Taylor to be a little bit.
And it was probably about the same time that you learned of Taylor Swift that we got Taylor and Luke in guitar lessons.
Yes.
It was probably about the same time because I remember you bringing home a Taylor Swift CD,
mm-hmm.
and or maybe we gave it to Taylor for Christmas. I don't remember. And I bought her a Justin Bieber CD because I thought she would really like Justin Bieber. And she actually ended up loving Taylor Swift a lot more than Justin Bieber, which is great. But back then, all of the kids were, goo goo gaga over Justin Bieber.
It's kind of funny because he was a smash hit. He was the hard one to get tickets for, and then Taylor Swift ends up becoming even larger than he was ever.
Yeah.
Not to take anything away from the guy. So that's how we became started on the Taylor Swift journey.
And kind of a fun side note that I want to say is in the early 2010s, until probably the last couple of years, Devin was really into refinishing furniture. So he would find people that were selling their old dressers, and he would go pick them up, and then he would bring them home, sand them down, repaint them, put new hardware on these pieces of furniture, and then resell them. And something that he would do with the kids is he would take one of them along with him on the drive,
which could be a 2-hour round trip,
depending on where it was, where he had to pick up this piece of furniture. And so a lot of times Taylor would go with him, and they would listen to Taylor Swift. And all of the kids talk about these memories that they have with their dad of driving in the car and listening to music with him, and how, music really takes you back to certain like moments in your life.
Yes.
And I want to say something, and this is probably one of the reasons why we really love Taylor Swift, is that something about her music is she has a way of telling a story that is relatable to everyone in their life. Even though these are her experiences, she is sharing experiences that she knows everyone else has experienced at one point or another in their life. Like if you go all the way back to, her first album that she made, she has a song on there, and I think it's called something like Best Day with You.
Oh yeah, that's a beautiful song.
And the story behind that is she had been invited to sing at a game, and she hadn't made a name for herself yet, but she'd been invited to sing at this game. And she came home. It was a pretty big deal. She came home from this, and she called up her friends. She wanted to go to the mall the next day. And she called up every one of her friends, and every friend told her they were busy, told her that they couldn't go to the mall. And her mom said, well, that's okay. I'll go with you. I'll go with you to the mall. I'd love to go shopping with you tomorrow. And so her and her mom go to the mall, and who do they see at the mall? They see all of her friends.
All of her friends.
And all of her friends are there together without her. And I know every young girl or young boy at some point in their life has experienced that feeling of seeing all of your friends together and you are not with them. And it just cuts you to the core. Mm-hmm. And so what did her mom do? Her mom said, we're going to leave this mall. We're going to go to a different mall. We're going to go to a better mall. And as any mom does, they try to turn it around and make it fun and help them like forget this bad experience that happened. And so even though this was a really horrible experience for her, like she lost all of those friends, she had to start over, she writes this song about this experience. But rather than focusing on the negative part of being left out and her friends not being nice to her and going to the mall without her, she chooses to focus on, I had the best day with you today. Because she talks about that experience with her mom in the car, and I had the best day with you today. And I just love that she's able to make all of her songs so relatable, and everyone has had some experience or another like that in their lives.
You say it's relatable, and it is, because just take, for instance, what we just talked about, the kids in the car. Now, as a father, I wish I understood that was going to be a time where we made so many memories, but, I thought the Disneyland trips and the SeaWorld trips and those were going to be the bigger memories. And all of a sudden our kids, they get into their late teens and early 20s, and they're talking about driving and singing to Taylor Swift and some other songs in the car, just running to get furniture with dad.
With dad.
And Taylor Swift's mom, she created this great experience, the best day ever, from that. So it's very interesting.
Yeah, it is. Okay, so talking about Taylor Swift and talking about why we love her music, we just talked a little bit about the best day with you, with her mom in the car. But what are some other songs, Devin, that you love of Taylor Swift? I would love to hear what your favorites are and why.
I think my favorite song, and this is like picking a favorite kid. It's like picking a favorite kid, is Wildest Dreams. I think is my favorite. And, I don't want to do any spoiling, but my favorite album is probably 1989. And again, that's like picking a favorite parent. Like, it's really hard. Love those. Love 1989. I mean, Blank Spaces I really like. And what was another one from that one that I really love? Is Blank Spaces, Wildest Dreams. But that's my favorite song. I mean, what makes her so great is that she is everything. She plays the instruments. she says that what she's most proud of is her lyrics, and she writes all of her own songs. She puts everything together. In baseball, if you can throw, hit, field, everything, they call you a 5-point player. She's a 5-point musician. And we grew up in an era where we had women and people with beautiful voices, but they weren't singing their own songs. And unless you know who kind of broke that a little bit in our era was Jewel. You remember that? She was a singer-songwriter. But I mean, the amount of talent it takes to do everything she is. One thing that's overlooked on her also is that she is just an amazing businesswoman. And the way that she started, I mean, she's done many things, but putting out the Taylor version of her albums was a brutal move against all of her enemies, and in business it was pretty amazing to see. But I mean, what's your favorite songs and what makes her so great to you?
First of all, as a woman and as an artist and as a businesswoman, I think she has surpassed so many obstacles. And I think she has overcome a lot of these obstacles with grace and dignity. I think that she has been able to rise above despite a lot of the criticism that she's had at times or negativity that's been thrown her way. And I think she's come out of it stronger and has created even better music because of it. I think a lot of times people who have encountered negativity like she has, they might just go, hide in a hole and not want to dig themselves out of it for the rest of their career.
And people have done that.
And she has admitted that before the Reputation album, she did that. She went into hiding for about a year, and all the things that happened with Kanye West and Kim Kardashian.
The names that should not be said.
She did. She went into hiding, and then she came back onto social media, and the first sign of that comeback was the picture of a snake.
That's so awesome.
And it was just so telling of what the album was going to be about. And I love how she's able to do a lot of healing for herself through her music. Yeah. I have to say, I really feel like 1989 is my own personal favorite album. And the reason for that is because I went to the concert with our daughter, Taylor, and being at that concert with her in person, watching her sing on stage and being there with our daughter, who was just, in total admiration of her and excitement. It was emotional for me. Mm-hmm. I actually I cried tears when we were there.
Not because you were watching Elvis or the Beatles.
No,
tell them why you cried.
It was this emotional experience to see my daughter experiencing something that was so special to her, mm-hmm. and watching these songs being performed live on a stage, and then the energy and love that was in the room. It just really gets to you. I was listening to a podcast and someone related, being at these Taylor Swift concerts is like being an evangelical Christian, whereas these people stand up and they're they raise their hand. They're and I'm ready, baptize me, convert me, or whatever. I believe, and when you are you're
going to get us in trouble with some of the haters
in the audience at a Taylor Swift concert, you just feel like she is your best friend. You feel so connected with her. The things that she says to you as in the audience, you feel like she's speaking directly to you. Mm-hmm. And she just has this way of just making everyone in the room, all 60,000 people, feel like they're an individual and that they are a part of her journey and her life.
You had an interesting experience, and I remember it. I don't know how well you remember it, but the 1989 concert, she would have guests come in and do a song or two. Mm-hmm. And Salt Lake, probably because no famous people wanted to go visit Salt Lake when that came out, she kind of had a empty spot where no visiting person. So she kind of just slowed things down, and she talked about Utah, but kind of talked about her career. And you said just what the words she said, having a young daughter meant a lot to you. Do you remember a little bit of what she said?
She was just very encouraging, and she was very conscientious of her crowd, and that a large majority of them are young girls who are in their teen years, who are going through all kinds of different emotions and feelings, and they might be, experiencing bullying at school. They might be experiencing body image issues, or experiencing changes in friendship or love, or, different relationships, all of these things. And she spoke to them so genuinely, telling them like, look, I've experienced all of these things too. And it's hard, but if I could overcome it, you can overcome it. And this is how I'm going to help you get through this. And I'm going to give you these words of encouragement to get through it. And I just thought it was so special.
So to follow that up, do you think Taylor Swift is a role model? Yes or no?
Absolutely. I think she's one of the best role models that are out there for young girls these days. When you look at the music industry and you look at women who perform, I think that Taylor Swift is the most admirable of them all. She carries herself with so much grace and poise, and she doesn't flaunt her body out there like a lot of these women do. She doesn't use her sexuality as a way to get more views or to attract people to her concerts. The reason why people go to see her is because her music is incredible. Her lyrics are relatable. And it's not just a show where she's just on stage to just dance. And it's not about the theatrics, even though this last, Eras tour has some incredible theatrics. It's not about that. It is about really connecting with her audience,
her
and
lyrics,
and
her
sharing
voice, the show
in these experiences with her audience, because she tells her fans, she said, look, these were my experiences. These were my feelings, but now that I have shared them with you, they're yours.
It's interesting because some of the criticism we get are from, I would say, especially the Christian crowd. And we're big fans of Jesus. We're big fans of Jesus, and we are, our platform's about the good news of that Jack brings, and that's what we're focused on. But some people know, and so they call us and say, as a Christian, why or how can you listen to Taylor Swift, which is always kind of odd. And I got to go backwards a little bit. The TV shows I was not allowed to watch growing up. The first one was Dukes of Hazzard, because my parents didn't like the way that the police were treated in them. Loved the Wonder Years, and this is one that not too many people were banned from. But when the two kids kiss when they're 13, my mom said, "This is enough. The show's off." So I was banned from the Wonder Years. I was banned from probably a good one was Married with Children, and then I was also not able to watch The Simpsons, which is funny because
my family watched The Simpsons. My brother watched it, and then my dad would actually sit down and watch it with him. I think there were times that, my parents would be like, oh, I don't know if we should let Michael watch this. But then they just, they let him, and then they would sit down and watch it with him, and they'd laugh. And to this day, my brother can still quote things from The Simpsons. It's super funny.
My parents objected to how Homer was displayed. But what I'm saying is I grew up in a house where we were very careful about what we watched. But there was a lot of Madonna going on in the 80s. There was a lot of Michael Jackson going on. And look, when we grew up in the 90s, how many songs were about sex? I Want to Sex You Up.
There were a lot of songs about sex. Or what about Shoop? Shoop, Shoop-a-doop.
That
song was terrible. And they'd play
Pepper.
that song at the church dances. I do remember in the very late 80s, I was a huge fan of Milli Vanilli.
Milli Vanilli.
Milli Vanilli. Girl, you know it's true.
Ooh, ooh, ooh.
And I would listen to that tape over and over and over again. I just loved that tape. And then it came out that they were lip syncing that they weren't the actual, they weren't the actual
I
voice.
think they just came out with like a
their
TV
faces or
show
whatever.
on this. Very interesting.
Anyway, I would love to watch that. But my dad probably isn't going to even listen to this episode, so I could say this. He would probably deny it if I said this to him now. But my dad told me I needed to throw the tape away because he said they were of the devil.
My father thought my father. It's okay because my father thought the Beatles were the devil, and I said, Dad, the Beatles. I mean, they're thought of as probably like the last innocent band before all the hard rocks. And he says, well, what do you think the USSR song was about? So
I remember taking that tape, and I was a very obedient child.
Yes.
I was the first child, very obedient, did not want to disappoint my parents. I do remember putting that tape in the trash can and looking at it, and then I just couldn't do it. I picked it back up out of the trash, and I went and like put it in my drawer in my room, and I just didn't ever listen to it again, but I didn't throw it away.
So the reason why we went down this little path is we've grown up in some households that we don't just watch everything. Kim and I don't watch rated R movies for the most part, and we're used to editing what we listen to. Though to say, look, if you're looking to the movie industry, the music industry, or the art industry to lead you in your Christianity, you're looking at the wrong place, man. This place is full. All of them are full of demons and devils. But there's some good acts, and Taylor Swift. I mean, gosh, we got Miley Cyrus naked on a bolt. What's those? Wrecking ball.
The wrecking ball.
Got her talking about
not wearing her underwear.
We've
like
got
up on stage in front of like at the Grammys or something.
We got rappers with blood like in their shoe things. We got people wearing the devil. I mean, dude, these people are the devil. But Taylor Swift doesn't do that stuff. So why are we picking on her?
Yeah, I don't know. I think it's easy to pick on someone who is successful, and I really don't know why people are picking on her.
I'm not looking for Taylor Swift to teach the next lesson at church. She seems like a really nice girl. She's not going to be our prophet or our God, but I mean, of anybody in the music industry, I'd be probably most comfortable sitting next to her, unless a couple people from having such a hard time. Country music. Country music's got some good people. Jeez, my brain larked up. But so you talk about sexuality. Look, she is feminine. And she shows her femininity. I think she's proud of it. I think there's a difference between that and just gross crudeness of like the Miley Cyruses. Mm-hmm. I don't want to pick on too many people. Sorry, Miley, but some of your stuff is pretty crude. I mean, Jack was listening to. He went from the new the girl that's singing the cowboy. She came from Beyonce, and she's practically naked on the cover. Mm-hmm. And then he went and played the girl that was from the Wizardsy place. What was her name?
Oh, Selena Gomez.
Selena Gomez. He goes and plays Selena Gomez, and she's naked on her cover. You show me the one where Taylor Swift was naked on her cover.
Well, also, Jack went through a phase where he was listening to Billie Eilish, and he really became obsessed with her song Bad Guy. And then somehow he stumbles across the music video. And I haven't even seen the music video. And Jack watches it, and he complained about having nightmares. For like over a month. And I'm talking to my sister-in-law. I'm telling her, Jack keeps saying, Billie Eilish, scary nightmares, And she says, oh my gosh, that video gives me nightmares. And I'm like, what do you mean? And she says, well, she has like this black ooze that comes out of her eyeballs. And I was like, oh my gosh, that's what Jack was talking about. He was saying something with her eyes and black, like crying black tears. And she has this black ooze that comes out of her eyeballs. And it scared him half to death. Mm-hmm. And there hasn't been a music video yet with Taylor Swift that has scared him to where he's not able to sleep at night.
So we get this question a lot. Is there anything Taylor Swift could do that would make you not listen to her music?
Anything that she could do to make me not listen to her music?
I'll help you. Yes, when she starts getting naked on wrecking balls and she starts
She starts throwing her underwear out into the audience or something. Or
Yes, we could lose
respect
for her. It's definitely possible, but she's been around a long time. That's what the Eras Tour is about, and she hasn't had to go down to those gross, crude levels to get views. Queen of social media, but Taylor Swift at this point deletes all of her social media, and it goes blank for almost a year, right?
Yeah, a year and a half.
And then
when it comes out, she comes out with The Snake.
The Snake.
And the entire album is about this relationship or experience that she had with Kim and Kanye.
It's about reputation is because they tried to ruin her reputation.
Yes.
It's a little bit revengeful of how to get back at them.
Yes.
And so sometimes we get people who are like, look, she's a snake. She's a devil worshiper. This was the snake.
Yes. Everything is metaphorical, people.
Metaphorical. The snake.
Everything is not exactly what it says. Everything is metaphorical.
The snake is Kim Kardashian and him. We don't use these names in our house. They're the names that shall not be spoken.
Yes.
But
yes.
So that's what that's about. And some people get all bent out of shape and they don't understand that those two people did.
But she rises
brutal.
above that experience.
And now she's huge.
She comes out bigger and stronger.
Bigger than ever.
During that Reputation concert, we actually went to that concert, Taylor and I did, in Nashville. And that was her first stadium tour. She had not performed in a stadium before that. And they were really uncertain if she would be able to fill up the stadium after everything that had gone down with Kim and Kanye. And she filled up the stadium after stadium. And she did this Reputation tour and she came back. And it was amazing. And then it was soon after that was when she was made aware that her records, her original, what do you call those?
The original files.
The original files of her music, there's a word for it, and I can't remember the word for it, that they were up for sale. Mm-hmm. And so she went to her manager, who she was really good friends with. She says that he was like a dad to her, that they had this really close relationship where, you know, he always encouraged her to stand up for herself, and he liked that she could think for herself and talk for herself and stand up for herself. And so she went to him and she said, I understand that these are being put up for sale and I want to purchase them. And he wouldn't sell them to her.
And who did he sell them to?
So then he sells them to
Scooter Braun.
Scooter Braun, who was...
He was the one that was running, going all the way back to the beginning.
Justin Bieber.
He
was like his manager.
So when you see that movie where they made with Justin Bieber and he goes on tour, it's Scooter Braun. It's like acting as his dad.
Yeah.
And I don't know if you've seen Justin Bieber lately, but he's a little bent from all of what happened to him.
Yes.
I mean, look, anybody with a child, don't let your child's manager be his dad and you pull out their life. That's just someone's.
Yeah. So Taylor Swift's manager, who was like a father figure to her, he sells them to Scooter Braun, who she knows is a lowlife. That he's done all of these terrible things to other people in the music industry. And out of all people, that's who he sells her original recordings to.
And when Taylor Swift is fighting the patriarchy of the music industry, like Scooter Braun is one of the he's one of the high priests of it. So that was a kick in the gut.
It was. And so then what she does, which was absolutely genius, is she just says, fine, then I'm just going to re-record.
These are all her songs.
My music. And I'm going to re-release them. And I think that this is what has like made her career even more like
this is
insane.
It's
crazy.
Shot her into being a billionaire.
Yes.
What's interesting is she has just been a beast, and now she runs the music industry. This is the point I was trying to make. She runs the music industry. And when she comes out with her version, the Taylor Swift versions, look, all she has to do all the time is like, everyone knows they need to play a Taylor Swift version if they want anything to do with Taylor Swift. She doesn't even have to say it. like a radio station wants you come in and say hi to their fans or whatever. She's not going to come in if you're not playing the Taylor Swift versions. She's going to make sure Spotify and Apple Music are all playing the Taylor Swift versions. She's running it. She's running the whole show.
But going back to the beginning of our conversation, we're talking about that first album and her song, The Best Day With You Today. And even back then, she was writing about an experience that was relatable for so many people in life because, everyone's experienced being left out of something. I mean, I think a lot of people today with social media, they'll see their friends online together doing something and they'll think, oh, like, why wasn't I invited to that? Like everyone experiences that in their day-to-day life, and that's still relatable today, all of these years later. But she's still doing that in her music right now. It wasn't just that album, that first album, but even from this experience, she wrote about it. And one of the songs that people are saying she wrote about this experience of her, of her originals being sold was My Tears Ricochet. And a lot of people have said,
song.
this is about, her relationship with this manager who betrayed her and sold her original albums. And even though it's about that losing that relationship with her manager and her albums being sold, that a lot of people can relate to that in their own personal life. Like there's maybe you had a job that you really, really loved and you did a lot for that job and a lot for that boss. And then some way or another, that person let you down and you never thought that they would. You thought that, you would stay at that company forever and they let you down and you had to move on and find something else. Or maybe you were laid off and you thought you were more important to the company than, you felt after that layoff. It's the same thing in relationships. There's always this dynamic sometimes in relationships where one person cares more than the other one does. And when you realize that other person doesn't care as much as you do, it's a huge disappointment. Mm-hmm. And she sings about that in that song, My Tears Ricochet. And so she's continuing to tell these amazing, incredible stories that are relatable to everybody, no matter where you are in your in your stage in life. You can look back and you can say, oh yeah, I felt that. I experienced that. I know what that's like.
We, to build on that, but we were talking about our favorite songs, favorite album. But if I said to you, what is the greatest song ever written and made, what's your answer?
All Too Well.
All Too Well.
All Too Well.
So tell me a little bit about All Too Well, how it became on radio and then became what it is now.
Well, it was originally just a 3.5 minute song on radio. Obviously, Taylor Swift has never confirmed any of these rumors. However, fans have been able to dissect her life a little bit and are able to pinpoint, songs, when they were written and who she was dating at that time to kind of figure out who they were about. And it has been determined by fans that this song is about Jake Gyllenhaal. She dated him.
There's no doubt about it. It's Jake Gyllenhaal.
She dated him for, a short period of time. But the reason why fans know this is because there's a scarf. There's a scarf that she is seen of wearing when she's holding hands with him out in public. And it's very recognizable photograph. Mm-hmm. Everybody has probably seen it in a popular magazine or whatever. It's a very recognizable photograph. They're out in the city in New York. And after they break up, he is seen wearing the scarf. And it's after they break up. And in the song, she talks about the scarf. But then is what happened is that fans got wind that the song, All Too Well, was originally written to be 10 minutes long. And her,
the album was like, we can't put a 10-minute song.
Yeah, they're like, nobody would listen to a 10-minute song.
The patriarchy knocked it down.
Yeah, nobody would listen to a 10-minute song, so we've got to cut this down. So when fans got wind that there was a 10-minute version, they wanted the 10-minute version. So when she came out with her Taylor's version, she re-released all of those original songs, but also the songs that don't, with every album she's done this, she releases the songs that didn't make the cut. And so you're also getting, not only are you getting the original album, but Taylor's version, but you're also getting 8 new songs with it that you've never heard before. And one of them was the 10-minute version.
The 10-minute version
of All Too Well.
All Too Well.
And then she comes out with this incredible music video that shows the story unfold.
And the red scarf.
We
hate Jake.
And it's incredible. But the things that she talks about in that song, it's like you're so in love with somebody and they tell you these things and they say these things to you, and
then you're looking back on it afterwards, is what that
yes.
sounds. Yes.
Then you look back on it afterwards, and you're like, I can't believe that I let you tell me that, and that I believed you about
did this.
myself.
No one that did this would love me.
No one who loved me would say that to me. But they're saying but they say these things to you out of I'm trying to make you feel better.
When you say it's relatable, though, everyone's had something like that. I mean, where they were in a relationship, they loved it, and then afterwards they're like, it's tearing them up at the things, and then they look back and they're like, they didn't love me. They didn't open up the door for me. They didn't, they didn't bring me flowers.
It's always those things after where you sit and you're like, oh my gosh, now that I think about it, he said that to me?
Yeah.
I can't believe he said that to me. How dare he say that to me? And, and I sat there and I took it because I thought that I deserved it, So she puts these experiences into a story, into a song that everybody is like, yes, I feel that too. I get it.
We haven't said a lot from the song. You should listen to it if you haven't. With the understanding what we just said. But my favorite part is he has a keychain that says F, but it really says the F
the
word.
patriarchy.
F the patriarchy, which is so funny because he is such living the patriarchy of slipping around with women and moving on. He was just.
It was very ironic.
He was just playing to it, and it just helped him get more women. Oh yeah, I hate the patriarchy,
yes.
He's part of the whole sleeping around and moving from woman to woman, and people are too old if they're over 22 years old, And
I can't tell you how many times we've been driving around the car, even just recently, I want to say 2 months ago, Taylor was with us, Jack was in the car, Blake was in the car. We're all in the car and we're listening to the Red album and we're playing the 10-minute version of All Too Well, and we've just got it blasting and we're all singing to it at the top of our lungs.
And I can listen to All Too Well. It's 10 minutes and I can listen to it all day long. People have said that is a really good sign that I have ADHD, but I think everyone must have ADHD because everyone wants to play that song over and over and over again. Okay, so let's talk a little bit about Travis Kelce.
Okay.
So how did you come to realize who Travis Kelce was when Taylor Swift put him on the map?
Yes. I had no idea who he was before she started dating him. I had no desire to watch football until she started dating him.
So we loved watching the season and we loved following every part of it. It's been 20 years since I followed football super closely, but I became a big Kansas City fan. So when Taylor Swift showed up for the game, I was blown away, and I told Kimberly about it. We made a little video with Jack on it. It was a lot of fun.
We did.
But what is it?
And Jack knows who Travis Kelce is. He'll talk about it. He'll say, I'm Travis Kelce.
He's got one of those shirts that, what was it?
I'm Taylor's boyfriend or Taylor's boyfriend.
87,
with the football.
Number 87, Taylor's boyfriend.
Yeah.
I mean, I like to say Taylor Swift led the Kansas City Chiefs to a Super Bowl. I am still petitioning for her to get a Super Bowl ring. She deserves one. But you're a woman that hasn't watched a ton outside of college football. You haven't watched a lot of professional football. So what did it do for you this year?
I mean, it made it fun. It made it exciting. I think as a fan of Taylor Swift, we know the heartbreak that she has experienced in her life. She's been in and out of love a lot. And I think this last relationship, especially, fans were a little disappointed that they didn't see as much of her out in the public eye because this last boyfriend didn't like her being in the public eye. And so they didn't know a lot of what was going on. I think fans were actually worried about her because they didn't see a lot of her. And I mean, we would hear things, in her Lover album, she pretty much proclaims her love to Joe Alwyn, talking about her London boy and all of these things.
He's dead to us.
And so fans, I think, get really excited when they hear that album because they're like, she's in love. She loves her London boy. And they respect the distance that they keep from the public eye. But it was a little bit disappointing. And then as rumors started to fly that they had possibly broken up. Then again, fans were concerned, she's out on tour. What do you mean she's broken up? You can't tell. And she actually has a song on her new album about that, like that she's out performing and nobody knows that.
What's
so I'm
that
going to
song
act
called?
like
It's
it's
a
my
great song.
birthday.
Oh, what's it called again?
I'd have to look at the name of it.
I can play with I can do it with a broken heart.
I can do it with a broken heart.
Such a good
She
song.
says, I can do it with a broken heart. Like, how many times have we been through something really hard, whether it's a breakup or some sort of emotional turmoil in our life, and you just have to put on a happy face and you have to move on. You still have to go to work. You have to get your kids out of bed and take them to school. Everybody has something where they, even though they're heartbroken, they still keep going and moving on with their life. So when we saw her with Travis Kelce at the Chiefs game,
that first game she shows up to,
it was really exciting because everyone just wants her to be happy. And he has such a magnetic personality that I think it was really, really fun to see how excited he was to see her and to see the interaction that he had with her on the field while in the games, doing all the little symbols, like throwing her the heart fingers.
Oh, yeah.
And pointing to her and watching her get all giddy with her friends in the stadium.
Was there a better season than this season? That was so fun.
It was so fun. Everybody wants her to be happy and just wants her to experience love.
And you're talking about showing her off. I mean, not hiding her. They've shown her and Joe coming out like a hotel or a restaurant, and they're just running, trying to duck. And then they show Travis Kelce, and he's like waving.
He's
the
like,
crowd.
whatever, man. This is a
he's
blast.
Like signing autographs, and he's like, this is my girlfriend. I mean, I think he's 2-time Super Bowl champion when they started dating, and he's 3-time Super Bowl champion now. Look, he's his own man in many ways. He doesn't. I mean, she definitely put him on the map,
she did, but I think also the reason why they work is because she has been extremely successful in what she does and in her career and her music career. And Travis Kelce has gotten his own success. I mean, he's won the Super Bowl
one of the best
2
tight
times.
Ends. Yes.
2 times. He's won the Super Bowl. That's like hardly any professional athletes even experience that. And so for him to have that type of success on his own, and then she has her success, I think that's what makes them
and you see
work so well together.
You see this in that first game she shows to, because they come outside in the players' car area, and he's got his like 1970s muscle car with no top on, and they jump in and drive off.
But I think they
awesome.
understand each other too, because he understands. I mean, in his career, in order to get to that level of success, it takes a certain amount of work and energy and commitment to get there. And it's the same with her, you know? And so I think he understands that for her, that in order for her to continue to have this success and to continue giving a good show every single night that she's out on tour for this Eras tour, and to keep it up afterwards, he understands what she has to put into that, because he has to do the same with his career. So they're also not competing with each other, because they're not in the same industry,
I've got a warning for Travis Kelce. If you break up with Taylor Swift, it might not be good for you. So really think about it. Poor guy.
I know.
Can you think she breaks up with him, but he gets blamed for it?
I know, that's so funny.
I do not want the Swifties after you, man. I hope you guys. I hope it's good.
Right now, he's got the love songs about him on the new Tortured Poets Department album. So that's good news for him.
So I want to, before we leave Travis Kelce, I want to talk about how Taylor Swift led him to the Super Bowl, and when it came to the night before the Super Bowl, what did I tell you?
You said that they were going to win. You went and made a bet.
I told you I
You
wanted
went
to
to
drive.
Wendover and you went to go bet on the game.
I told you I wanted to drive an hour and 3/4.
So what did you bet on the game?
I bet that that they would win. I bet like 5 different bets. And
Well, what were they? What were the 5 different bets?
That they would win. But they had to win under a certain amount, and if they had kicked the extra point at the end of the game, I would have lost my bet. So it was really good that touchdown won the game, because then there was no extra point.
I don't think you've ever been
I was really excited.
As intense during a game as you were.
We don't.
This one.
We're not big on the betting, and I don't usually bet. But I bet a lot more than I usually did, and we won some good money. I was pretty excited. I knew Taylor Swift wins everything she does. I knew she was going to win the Super Bowl, so it was a done deal, and we did. We won. Okay, so good luck to Travis, and don't break up with our girl. We like you.
We're rooting.
We like your brother.
For you.
We like your brother's wife. We like your mom. But please don't ruin this.
Yeah.
Okay. So I told you we take a lot of heat. So Kimberly, is Taylor Swift a witch?
No. Why is she a witch? Why do people even think that she's a witch? I think this is so ridiculous.
Well, Kimberly, in Eras Tour, they are in the forest and they have glowing bulbs and they have these things on them.
We watched Outlander. I mean, this looks like in the Eras Tour for it's either the Folklore or the Evermore album that they do this. It just looks like what those women were doing in Outlander, like a traditional folklore is telling a story.
But is it because she always writes about her life in biography?
So she decided during COVID that she wasn't just going to sit around and like pet her cats all day and watch a million episodes of Grey's Anatomy and sit around and do nothing.
Yes.
So she had broken off that relationship with her music manager, and this was her opportunity to again write her own album. I think Lover was her first album that she released without her old music manager. But then shortly after that, COVID happened. And so she decided that she was going to spend her time writing music, and rather than writing about her own life, which now we do know that there are a couple songs on the album that are relatable to this breakup with her manager. But she does say it in the concert that she wanted to experience writing something that was a made-up story.
Okay, so she also, in one of her videos, is a cheerleader. Is she a cheerleader?
No.
In one of her videos, she works inside an office. Does she work inside an office?
No. This last video, she's in an insane asylum. Does that mean that she was really in an insane asylum? You're saying she's not insane in an insane asylum, right? No.
So I think people take things a little too literal. This is a little bit of show. But again, look, man. How many of these people in that industry have the worst stuff in the world?
She's a performer, for crying out loud.
Yes.
This is what performers do. They make stories and they tell them, and they do it in the best way that's going to create the most amount of views and listens as possible.
Oh my gosh, I just don't understand this. Look, like I said, I'm not looking forward to anybody from the music industry coming and teaching our next church lesson. That's not why I watch them or listen to them. But if I could snap my finger and everybody in the music industry was like Taylor Swift, it would be a huge improvement.
Yeah, I agree. Yes.
So Travis, don't break up with her. And we're looking forward. We're loving this album right now, and we're looking forward to the future. Do you have anything else to say?
I don't think I have anything else to say.
If anybody has the ability to get us some tickets or to get Taylor Swift to meet Jack, let us know.
Yes, he would be ecstatic because she is the first person that he requests to listen to on Alexa when he wakes up in the morning, and he listens to her throughout the day, and he just loves her music. And I think that's another reason why we love her so much is because Jack adores her. He loves singing along to her music, and to see the joy that her music brings into his life and how the way that it lights him up, it just makes us love her even more.
Okay. Thanks, everybody.